Welcome back to the ABL review. This time we have Season 18, Week 3 for the ABL West Division. As usual, for the West apparently, not a particularly exciting slate of matchups. A little bit one-sided. We do have our marquee match of the week though that I just went back and rewatched. I really do think there's a lot of interesting things in that match that I'm excited to talk about. But let's start off with, got a couple of quick blowouts here, so let's hop into it. So here we have Darren, who has really been on a warpath since his week 1 absolute choke. So let's check in with it, see how he's doing. So you got Gardevoir leading off versus Neuver in here. You know, early in the game, I don't like to make too many risky moves. Gardevoir, known to potentially be scarfed. Maybe this isn't something you want to risk. Dakota takes the chance here, and he gets punished for it. Neuver's down pretty early, but you know what? Good information to be gained. This Gardevoir is definitely choice scarfed. So you can go into something that resists Gardevoir, right here with Quillfish, and, you know, looking good. So Toxic Spikes go up. That's also good. Probably a waste of time, though, because there is a definitely, you got Iron Moth here. It's going to soak those up, no problem. Spore is going to come out. Everything would have gone to sleep with Spore there, even the Garganacl, because of Mycelium Might. It's going to go through that Purifying Salt and Garganacl to sleep. That Oricorio doesn't burn any turns of sleep, probably a good if it's time. Gallad's going to get its Choice Scarf knocked off. That's actually pretty big. Gallade getting its Choice Scarf knocked off really is going to come into play. I don't know if Dakota had considered what was going to happen, because he had to have predicted Dark knockoff coming out, because Oricorio resists ground and grass moves, so maybe he was just like, I'm already asleep, if he goes for one of the stab moves I'll be fine. So Gallade coming out had to be like a, I don't want to take this this dark move, but he loses his Choice Scarf, which is definitely impactful. Dragonite's going to come out here, obviously doesn't want to tangle with this Florges. Head out and Dondozo. It does so much damage. Dakota would reveal after the match that this is max special attack Florges, not something you see too often, but we're going to see this guy come out, pop the Quark Drive, and Dakota's in trouble. He's really in trouble right out the gate here. Florges obviously has to switch out, can't really afford to stay in. And you see this, so it's going to Terrasilize Fairy to avoid any, big scary moves here. Sludge Wave, resisted. Resisted, not very effective, right? So this is doing half of what it could do. That's 72%. He could have just followed up with another Sludge Wave here and guaranteed to KO. He went with, I believe, the same base power in Fiery Dance, which gives him a chance for a special attack increase, and he got it. Iron Moth now outspeeds everything. Is at plus 1.3 special attack. Synergy. 0.3. And is fairy types. There's no super effective moves left on this team. And there's not much else that can happen. We got an Energy Ball. Boom. Garg's down. We got Oricorio asleep. So he's going to go for a Fire Dance. Get the other special attack boost. Not that it matters at this point. Gallade's going to come out. Not much he can do. It goes down to a Dazzling Gleam. Florges is going to come out, easy Sludge Wave. If we were to keep track of big hits, this Iron Moth is racking them up. Absolutely stellar showing for the MVP candidate. Absolutely an MVP candidate, right? He called it. Getting 5 KOs in very quick fashion. 13 turns, that's not the record for the fastest battle in the ABL. I believe it's 8 or 9 turns now. But man, that's down there. That's in the top 10 of fastest battles. Dakota, bad matchup here as far as dealing with Iron Moth goes. He didn't bring Crocolore, which would have been able to wall this thing, especially if he was Spadef. He could have Terra'd something to try to live a hit. That didn't happen either. If he was able to hold on to his Choice Scarf, maybe we see a Psycho Cut do enough damage to this to threaten it, but he didn't do any of that. Really fell apart in this one, so you hate to see that. Yeah. Not much else to say there. Well done by Darren. Just one of his Pokemon didn't even have to hit the field this week. Dragonite hit the field, but didn't do anything. Well done. That's funny that 5 of his Pokemon hit the field, and only one of them got a KO, and it was on like one turn. I think all of the attacks, the only attack that wasn't a one-hit KO was Quillfish. Everything else only took 1 hit and fainted. Or 2. Or actually, no, that's not true, because Gallade did take 2 hits. So 8 attacks in this battle from this side, 13 turns, and there's switches in there. Utterly surprising, but that's how that battle went. So moving on to our next match this week, we've got Mike taking on Drew. Drew has been off to a rough start, and Mike also not the best start. Both of them were 0-3 coming to this battle, but that's going to end for somebody. Drew accidentally using Alt. That's always funny when that happens, but let's get into the battle. So, Tatsugiri lead versus the Kingambit. Pretty good for Tatsugiri. I mean, it is and it isn't. Like the fact that, like, we'll click forward 1 turn. I'm surprised Kowtow Cleave did not do more. I'll be honest, Tatsugiri's kind of wimpy. Kingambit's pretty strong. I kind of thought that would do more. Obviously now you kind of have to play against the upcoming Sucker Punch, but let's see how he does. Doesn't even come into play. Could have clicked Sucker Punch there, KO'd this Tatsugiri, comes out of there with full health Kingambit, doesn't work out, but you know what? Slowking's the right switch. Takes less than Regenerator health, so that's a great start. Tonpass and Armarouge. That's very scary. That's a potentially big problem. So it doesn't take much damage from that Psychic either. Able to fire off an Energy Ball. And also live the Surf. I'll be honest, pretty surprised at both of those things. Armarouge does have some decent Spadef, but I really thought that it would. I thought either Energy Ball was going to KO or Surf would have KO'd. One of the two. I didn't really expect both of those mons to come out on top there. Paldean Tauros is going to come in hard. This is not a good play, because definitely you're probably following up with another Energy Ball there, or maybe if he wants to cover something else, maybe a Psychic's coming out. But another Energy Ball comes out, gone goes the Aqua Paldea and Tauros. By the way, probably should change these to Tauros Paldea Aqua, Tauros Paldea Blaze, and Tauros Paldea Combat. That change will come next season, but just something I've been thinking about. First of all, it's ABC, isn't that fun? And then also, they do have official names that we should probably recognize. Iron Hands comes in, that's going to be an easy KO there. Didn't even have to go for a Psychic move. Armor Cannon's very strong, able to cleanly KO the Iron Hands. Terra's Normal, this is awesome. That is so cool. I love the Terra Normal to cover the Shadow Ball from Gengar. That's very good stuff. And able to KO with the Psyshock. Things are out of hand very quickly here. But I do want to say what should have happened, particularly after that Armor Kit, if not earlier, is Kingambit should have come out and gone for Sucker Punch. Drew, let us know if your Kingambit didn't have Sucker Punch. Then, I guess I can't question your plays, but I'm going to question your team building. I would venture to guess 99% of Kingambits are carrying Sucker Punch. And that estimation might be a little low. Slowking comes out. We already know that's going to die to Energy Ball. Kingambit finally comes out. And he does play around this. So he had Sucker Punch the whole time. He could have done this forever ago. He could have done this before it Terra Normaled. He could have gone from the Slowking. After the Paldean Tauros fainted, he could have gone into this and at least forced it out with a Sucker Punch. Maybe he wasn't sure how many mons had to have fallen for this to work. The close count, the Terra Flying is a good call there. Ironhead does a pretty good amount of damage. Kind of unfortunate that he wasn't able to come out with like maybe a Swords Dance or something. But there's the Sucker Punch that we wanted. If he had Swords Dance on one of these turns, he actually has kind of a good matchup to try to get out of this. The Terra Flying is suboptimal for like the Belly Bolt, but he'll probably, I bet you he would live a hit. Also, I guess fair to mention that's Drew's first like KO this season. It's taken him a while to get there, but he definitely needs to, like, win conditions, I guess, is the lesson here. You kind of have to look at, like, okay, what things need to happen for me to win from where I'm at? And I think he recognized, I think, that King Gambit can win. And he tried to save it, and maybe you needed to get a couple of fallen Pokemon to get that boost. But you probably need to get a Swords Dance off at some point. I really do like the Terra Flying, no kidding. I think that this has potential, but I also think if you were going to commit to King Gambit doing this stuff, probably could have let the Fortress go down and thrown up, like, gotten sturdy and thrown up a hazard or something. But back to the battle. Kowtow Cleave does, not good damage. And he's just able to get cleaned up with that Electromorphosis Thunderbolt. Volt Switch is going to break the Sturdy, as the Rapid Spin is blocked. Not much you can do at that point. And Dragapult's going to pick up the KO. Mike comes away with a pretty decisive win. First of the season for him. Drew's still in search of his. We'll definitely circle around these two teams' standings later in the battle. Later in the podcast. Okay, so next we have my battle versus Zach. I don't have a lot to say about this. I know I'm pretty verbose about my battles typically, but didn't like my matchup, and I don't like how I played. So, leading off here, once the Toxic Spikes went up, I was pretty disappointed already. I don't have Hazard Clearing on this team. I don't think Toxic Spikes are going to be something he focuses on. And even if he does, I don't really like what Cyclizar would do to deal with the rest of this team. And I also don't like just bringing Venomoth just to soak up Toxic Spikes. So I didn't want to rejigger everything I had. But what I did want to do is get up my own Stealth Rocks. And Donphan comes in, which I knew that would be the switch into this. And unfortunately, I knew that if I wanted to keep my hazards up, which I also, in retrospect, regret prioritizing. By the way, if I hit that, it's nice to hit Head Smash, okay? I wish I had hit it. So, turning Ghost type just so he can't Rapid Spin on me, that works. That's the high point of this battle for me, I think. But man, that Wood Hammer, I really wish it, at least did 50%. Because then I would have been able to 2-KO it. Missed that Head Smash, that sucks. I hate that. I hate that for me. Slowbro's going to come in, take a pretty good chunk of damage from this Tinkaton, but I want to chip this Tinkaton down, and also with the damage that I do to it, I realize it's not physically defensive, which is what I expected to be Phys Def, because I was Choice Banded Roaring Moon, in that 2-hit KOs everything on this team then, except for maybe the Donphan, but that's already significantly weakened, thanks to my Sudowoodo. So yeah, I thought it's okay, I'm in a bad spot, but, maybe something can happen here. I'm just going to go ahead and sack this Sudowoodo to get a clean switch into Hariyama. Obviously want to force this guy out. He's going to sack the Donphan. Good news is, those hazards that I was so desperate to keep up are in fact going to stay. Fairy Skeledirge. Another thing that I kind of last minute was okay, if he Terra's Fairy, am I fucked? Because a lot of my plans to kill Skeledirge revolved around hitting it with Crunch from Roaring Moon or Earth Power from Sandy Shocks, and then I realized that's not necessarily going to happen. Terran Fairy, I had almost put Heavy Slam on Hariyama. I had almost brought Scizor. Both of those things didn't happen. I was woefully underprepared for this Skeledirge. And also, Torch Scion, not good for me. Good news is the heavy duty boots are gone. Bad news is he's also now not weak to hazard, so who gives a shit? I also almost headlong rushed on, I think this turn. Not that it would have mattered, but it would have done more damage. Would have been nice. I'm also Guts, so keep that in mind. That I'm doing so little damage, and I'm Guts boosted. And I'm just gonna save this because I know I can. I was hoping to get yeah, I was hoping to do this so that way he Torch Songed on that turn and I'm able to disable it because I don't want him boosting any more than he already is. And that works out. So I'm able to get this Wish up. So this should be a pretty safe turn for Ferris Bueller here. But it also doesn't matter because it's shit damage that Arbolivo. Yeah, I'm not in a good spot. I know I've lost at this point. Really, my only hope is like he plays really dumb and lets Roaring Moon get off a whole bunch of big crunch damage on stuff. Also, maybe that U-turn could have KO'd. That would have been nice. Yeah, I'm not proud of how I played here, and I'm just like, I'm gonna die. So let's get up some spikes. I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna Giga Drain and get a whole bunch back, and now U-turn's not gonna KO again. I have to lock myself into something I don't want to use. And who knows, this Arbolivo just might get too healthy for me to KO it. Hardened Bo Callahan so he can't get too much back, but I'm on pretty low HP because of the poison. I have to U-turn yet again, just so I can lock myself into something else later. Yeah. This isn't my best moment. Wasn't my best matchup. Obviously, I made a whole bunch of changes that we'll talk about soon. I've been knowing I need to make changes for a while, but this isn't about me. This is about Zach. A well put together team. Iron Thorns didn't even have to come out, which I'm glad because I didn't want to lose to a Pokemon that I'd been negative about in the preseason. So at least that didn't happen. But that kind of wraps this up. Zach stays undefeated in the league so far this generation, along with Brett over in the other division. Only 2 remaining undefeated teams. So congrats to both of them. And that wraps up this one. Zach comes with a big 4-0 win. I think that's his... Yeah, it's so good. Roaring Moon at least did get 1 KO, so... I was talking about Roaring Moon in the East podcast. If you want to hear a big diatribe about that, go over here and check it out. But it's time for us to move on to our Marquee Match of the Week.
Marquee Match of the Week. Now we have a theme.
Our Marquee Match of the Week, we've got Mitch taking on Chris. This is also kind of an uneven match, but I think there's a lot of interesting things. Chris had a lot of questions in the chat, and I'm going to try to address a lot of them here, because I know he's also still learning, and particularly in these 2 podcasts this week, I feel like there's been a lot of room to kind of analyze and teach, and that's fun, because I've been doing the past few seasons with people who know a lot about the mechanics of everything. I don't really get why Mitch went flying here in particular. Maybe he can provide me some insights. I don't know why flying. I mean, it's better than being bug fighting, because he would have been absolutely dead. And I'm just going to address this real quick because this is a mechanic that newer players have trouble understanding initially. Something that kind of breezes them by is priority. Maybe this isn't what you were asking about, Chris, but priority moves. First Impression is a priority move. Got a priority of +2. All moves are categorized into priorities ranging from 0 is neutral pretty much, and then down to -7 and up to +7, although I think the only moves that can actually reach even +3 are moves boosted by Triage. There's other battle events that take place in-game, like switching out, using items, things of that nature, and I think Protect might even be higher, that take place in those higher brackets, like 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, I think, was reserved for Pursuit. 6 would be switching out. 5 is using items. 4 is Protect. 3 is moves like Triage. 2 is ultra-high priority moves, what I'll call them, like First Impression, Extreme Speed, Fake Out. So that's what's happening here. He was asking about, like, he was surprised Slitherwing outsped some stuff. Maybe that's where you're getting confused. Slitherwing's not outspeeding stuff. It's just using a very high priority move. So even if this was Galewing's Talonflame, which it very well could have been, Brave Bird is not going to outspeed the Slitherwing because First Impression goes before Brave Bird. So there's that. Quagsire is going to come out, able to take on this Talonflame pretty easily. That's another reason that I think this is probably, like, this might be Gale Wing's Talonflame, just because, I mean, it only takes like 2 hits in this, but it also still doesn't get a burn, which I guess is still within the realm of possibility of it being Flame Body, but, you know, I don't really know why he stayed in on the Quagsire. This isn't a matchup that you're winning 1v1. Maybe you just want to get a little bit more healthy before you switch. But turn 5 was the time to switch out. Probably right into this. You would have been pretty well off here. Fire off that Water Pulse does so much. I really love seeing that damage from Clawitzer. I kind of wish he was a boosting item, so that way he probably could have KO'd this Klefki. This Klefki's going to be able to get up this screen, which allows it to live a hit, which means it can come back in and kind of be a sack later. Umbreon's going to come in. Probably should have been the thing that came in first, because even without the screens, it's not going to be taking that much damage. That's a super effective Aura Sphere from a Mega Launcher boosted Clawitzer. So that is a 180 base power super effective move, and even without the light screen, it only would have done 40%. So this Umbreon still could have stayed in and beat this Clawitzer 1v1. The good thing that's happening here is this Clawitzer is still managing to get off attacks. I don't think it gets parried much in this. And it's burning turns of light screen, which is helpful for the rest of the team. So that's something. Unfortunately, it does get parried there. Because he was alternating water pulses and aura spheres, probably honestly just to keep things like Golden Go out. But if he water pulsed on this turn, I really think this probably KOs the Slitherwing. It doesn't have the same SPDF. I don't care that it's behind a light screen. Might KO it, which would have been pretty big considering how the rest of this game goes, because now the Slitherwing's back to pretty much full health. Braviary is going to come in, U-turn there. Quagsire is going to come in. We just saw it wall out a big bird a minute ago, and it's going to continue to keep doing that. Also, what Quagsire in the fucking world runs Stone Edge? That's so weird. Look, it worked out, so I can't really knock it, but see the Toxic Spikes go up. Not that that's a big deal. It's actually probably okay for Chris's team. Love this. Because especially for someone who's learning, it's easy to maybe end up getting blocked with a Rapid Spin. Doesn't fall for it there. No. He just goes for the Earthquake and hits this Golden Go. And he takes out this, lives the Focus Blast from this Scarf Golden Go. That is another thing, Choice Scarf, gotta remember that that's a possibility sometimes. Manages to live the Focus Blast, so that's nice. And gets off an Earthquake, KOs the Golden Go. It's out of here. Slitherwing's going to come in, and again, priority is going to be able to take out the Iron Treads. Luxray is going to come in, get poison from those Toxic Spikes. I'm not sure why the Toxic Spikes aren't showing up in the replays. It's been a little bit confusing for me narrating these, so hopefully it's not too confusing for you watching them. So, you turn out on Luxray. I also checked this Slitherwing. You can hover over it and see max out at 287 speed. Should always outspeed Luxray unless it's Scarf or something, which I highly doubt since it's running Facade. That means it's probably Flame Orb. But does very good damage to this Umbreon on the switch in here. You don't usually see Umbreons get potentially 2-hit KO'd. You're actually able to follow up with the Facade, pick it off. It is going to go down the next turn to poison no matter what. You turned on though. Back into Klefki. He's going to try to get up Hazards one last time. Not Hazards, Screens, excuse me. Brave Bird's able to get the KO on Klefki. Again, it's because again, it moved faster. So I just figured I'd bring it up. Just because I'm not sure where Chris's confusion's coming in. Again, I'm trying to educate. Another priority thing here. Klefki has Prankster, so it's going to be able to use its status moves before use. So that's why he was able to get that screen up. Not that I think it comes into too much consideration here at the end of the game. Slitherwing's going to come out. Outspeeds there with a U-turn, but honestly it also could have first impressioned yet again if it wanted to and gotten the KO. But the Glamora is in a good position here because they carry Energy Ball a lot of the time. Definitely had the... it didn't that time, but able to KO the Hatterene. And Glamora is able to get some good damage off on this Clawitzer. Full para. Unfortunate because he could have forced a 2-0 there. You hate to see it. And he's able to pick up the KO with Glamora. Honestly, well played by both these guys. There's a lot going on in here. I think Chris has got a ways to come in terms of like gameplay, but I do think I really love seeing that like he's trying to learn stuff, because we've seen some people in the past and they're just like, they basically know how to play Pokemon and they coast. And I am happy to say that pretty much no one in the league does that now. Sans maybe one person who's been with us since Season 4. I think otherwise people are generally trying to learn and get better, which makes for a much more fun league when everyone's competitive and there's no like games that you can just walk over people. That's exciting. But that wraps up matches for the ABL West this week. Let's hop over to Google Sheets, see who the MVPs are. Iron Moth yet again. Another 5 KOs for Iron Moth, putting it at 11 on the season, just in 2 games. In its first week, it did literally nothing. It's fun to see its Moth brethren Slitherwing also doing pretty well, although significantly behind pace. A lot of these Paradox Mons doing well. Roaring Moon's got 5 KOs through 3 games, lower than people had definitely expected. But Armrouche, good showing this week, getting 4 KOs, jumping up that leaderboard. Florja still doing well, Gallade also doing well. Great Tusk got traded away in the other league, but still on this list in the other league. List here. Slowbro had a good week last week, so it makes it on here. Golden Go, another Mon that people were worried about that seems to be manageable. Season Death Leaders. We don't have as many 3 KO Pokemon as there are over in the East. So, I don't know if that's anything. Kind of cool. But most of them are from like 2 teams. So, that's a little disappointing that it's so heavily loaded there. But there's that. We don't have any Life Orb KOs. And I'm going to go ahead and say, good. Sick of seeing Life Orb in League games. If you want to hear a rant about that, maybe subscribe to Patreon. Anybody's Patreon. Send me a Patreon receipt, and then I'll do a special video for you doing a big rant about Life Orb. Okay, lots of changes here. Granted, it's all on me. It's all because of me. I decided like 2 weeks ago, man, I really want Volcarona. And I really tried to figure out how to make it fit on my team. Also, now that I'm past, like, I was going to say arguably, but I also think it might be inarguably the best Volcarona counter that Pokemon has ever seen in Skeledirge. It's just like, okay, let's move on past that. I'll go ahead and pull the trigger on Volcarona. With Scizor leaving and me getting Volcarona, I really wanted a Steel type. There are so few good Steel types, okay? I actually had to double up. So I got Lucario. Dropped Slowbro, got Lucario. And you can see this domino effect kind of happening. So I've got my Steel type, but I've lost a bulky water, so I need to get Vaporeon. I needed to move around some cap space to be able to get Vaporeon. Also, not even super high on Vaporeon, I just want to say. Maybe we'll circle back to that at a different time. But now I have a fighting type, I have a fire type. I don't need Hariyama or Flareon, who were down here. So I can get rid of them. I went and grabbed Berserker just because he's a little bit bulkier than Lucario. Not that that's like a big thing, but I just, out of the other options in Iron Tier, nothing was really speaking to me. Berserker was a little bit intriguing. And then because I dropped an iron and dropped a bronze and got an iron, that cleared up 50 points, so I was able to drop the other bronze and get a silver in Vaporeon. Now I have my bulky water type. I think, and then I was left here with Drifblim, and it's really tough because I didn't want to do this. I really didn't want Bramblegast because me and Brett have too many Pokemon in common on our teams across the 2 leagues. He and I both had Roaring Moon, Screamtail, and Sandy Shocks. And now we have another one in common. with Bramblegast. I don't like it, but Bramblegast does a lot of things on my team I need. Gives me a grass type, okay? It allows me to keep that ghost type. Had other options of what to do here, but none of them I liked as much as Bramblegast, so I kind of had to do it. This does give some problems to my team. How often am I really going to bring Venomoth and Volcarona? How often am I going to bring Lucario and Berserker? Hard to say. But this did give me the things I wanted in Volcarona. I haven't had Lucario since Season 1. It's something I've always wanted to circle back to, so I'm excited about that. I kind of want to test some things with Vaporeon. We'll see how that goes. And Bramblegast, I'm genuinely excited to have. I didn't deal with bulky water types too well. I also kind of had some trouble with bulky ground types that Bramblegast can address that. And I didn't have a grass type in general, so I do think this helps a little bit. So those are my changes. I'm looking forward to other people doing changes, so that way I don't feel like a crazy person. Also, still open to trades. Just gonna put that out there. Let's head on over to the schedule for next week. We've got Darren versus Zach. Darren's kind of on a hot streak. Zach also on his typical hot streak. This will be the midpoint of the season, so it's pretty exciting. We've got Mike's been talking about this for a while. He's playing against his brother-in-law, Chris. Should be pretty exciting there. A lot of bad blood, maybe. Who knows? Got the Salem Shadow Balls taking on the Michigan Mudsdales. Mitch versus Drew. I hope I haven't gotten people's names wrong. Sometimes I just like kind of breeze over some people, and Drew and Darren are kind of similar, and I might have mixed them up at one point. So if that's the case, I'm sorry. You can also get a free link to my rambling about Life Orb video that apparently I should probably make. Just like text me and be like, I feel bad. I need compensation in the form of a video and a rant about Life Orb. I'm taking on Dakota, the return of the Pod Clash, even though he's not on the podcast lately. So that's what we have going on. Let's take a look at the standings. And I don't know how many of you listen to this but don't listen to the East. I went over what the playoff structure looks like, and I'm just going to reiterate that here. So let's jump into that. So I think, this is a pretty similar setup. I think one undefeated team, one winless team, and then 6 teams in the middle. I think it's the exact same setup. So what will happen is the top 2 teams are going to automatically go to playoffs. Okay? Bottom 2 teams are going to automatically miss playoffs. Teams 3 and 4 are going to play each other. Winner goes to playoffs. Loser goes to what we're calling a last chance game. The 5 and 6 winner goes to the last chance game. Loser misses playoffs. And then the last chance game, winner, and by the way, I'm just highlighting these because mathematically that's the most likely matchup. Not that it's definitely going to happen, but I digress. Winner of that game goes to playoffs. Loser misses playoffs. So, this accomplishes a couple of things. One, gives us more postseason games. It's a short season. We'll have more postseason games. Won't that be a delight? Second thing it does is it makes these late season games more important. Like, Chris is technically only 1 game out of playoffs right now. And if he beats, oh my god, my brain is blanking. Washington, Mike, next week, not only will he move up and be 2-2, and Michael will only be 1-3, but he'll also have a tiebreaker, which would help. So we're gonna have more meaningful games later in the season too, because maybe you only need 1 more win to bump from 6 to 7. That matters, because then, granted, sure, you do have to win 2 games to make it to playoffs, but your playoff hopes are alive. And that also means that each of these delineations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is more important. 1 and 2, you're just in playoffs, done. 3 and 4, you have to win 1 more game to make it. And you have 2 shots to do it, because you can lose a game too. 5 and 6, you have to win 2 straight games to go to playoffs, or else you're done for the season. Additionally, teams that make it to playoffs, whether you got there in a last chance game or not, Teams that make it to playoffs will be in the ABL North next season. Teams that miss playoffs will be in the ABL South next season. That's just so that way we can kind of balance like skill-based, and we'll also do a whole relegation system, probably not dissimilar to what we're doing this season. Again, that's assuming that we have enough people come back to do that, but that's what we're hoping. That's the goal. Obviously, all that can be dissolved and reconfigured if need be. So I think that's all I have to say about that. And also keep in mind, tiebreakers will be resolved at the end of the season. These standings do not reflect the tiebreakers that you have. So don't worry about that for the time being. I think that's everything. So again, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Brett, for the fantastic documents. Every season, he seems to add something that is just like a quality of life improvement that I really appreciate. Having to go through all this stuff and manage everything, he makes my life easier. The way he's like made the stats easier to take. I had to take him this week because he had some stuff going on. So much easier than how I used to do stuff. I used to do stuff by hand and then enter it into an Excel spreadsheet like some sort of a caveman. And he's got it compiled in here. It's beautiful. Got the MVP thing, which just looks great. The tier list, he made like auto update with these strike throughs. It's fantastic. Granted, I think he's a lot of stolen technology from other people, but that's the beautiful thing about evolution. Does that relate? I don't know. Also, big thanks to D24 Designs. They did a whole bunch of the logos for us. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 of these logos on here they did. So if you like the logos, you're like, hey, that looks stylish, that looks cool. D24 Designs got you covered on that. I can give you their contact information if you want to do a rebrand. Maybe you're just like, ooh, that logo that I made in paint is nice, but it could be better if it's got what's the word I want to use? A certified graphic designer. When I say certified, I mean he's got a degree in graphic design. He went to a probably prestigious college to do so. And also he's got 2 children, so he's got to pay the bills. So you know he's going to work hard for you. That's my point. And thank you all for listening. You made this possible, and I guess thanks YouTube for letting me put all your stuff on here. All my stuff on there. Your thing. And I guess that's it. I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you all for listening. See you next week. Goodbye.